Welcome and what's up, everyone? We are back with episode 2. And I have the one and only Brett E in the building. Brett E, what's up?
What's going on, everybody? Konnichiwa, ni hao, hola, and what's up? I am Brett E, the most positive actor.
Yes, you are, man. It's been a few days, we'll say, since the last episode, but we back with number 2.
That's right. Good evening, everyone.
So good, man. So good. Listen, you all, we are here to impact lives so that we can grow as investors. And we have designed this podcast so that we can introduce new people to the power of investing and to make sure that we all are growing together. Now, before we go any further, Brett E, can you please give them the official disclaimer?
So we like to say, be grown. This is not financial advice. We are not financial advisors. Do your own research, be grown, and take control of your own life. These are just two people that are very passionate about talking about finances and building financial wealth. And we are letting you in on the conversations that we have on a monthly basis, at least monthly basis, and text all the time throughout the week. But we're just letting you in on our conversations, and hopefully this will help you go from being a little bit nervous about getting into the market to being comfortable taking your first steps into the market.
Excellent, man. Excellent. You did that so very well, much better than I could ever do. So that was excellent, man. That's excellent. You all, are you ready? Let's get into this. Let me give you a really brief recap of episode 1. We got into the very basics of why we should invest and even gave you all a tip on and something called an ETF that you could get involved in as you take the first steps to get in the game, right? And so make sure if you missed it, go back, watch episode 1 and the steps of success to make sure you get all the things you need to get started in the market. We're now up to level 2. As we're talking about ETFs, let me share this right here as well. Understand, ETFs, remind you, ETFs are the all-star team, the best of the best that allow you to take steps into the market and put you in position to make sure that you are in the best possible position, rather, to be able to maximize the opportunities that are available in the market. So again, if you missed episode 1, go back, check it out, because we dropped some gems in that last one, Brett. Like some major gems. Like what kind of responses, man, have you been hearing since the last episode?
Yeah, so a little while ago, what was cool is that, first of all, I just want to say, side note, I like watching you on screen. Like, first, like when you start getting into stuff, I just like, that's why I was smiling just a second ago, because I just like, I like watching you on screen.
Man, you're the man.
You do a great job. But like a little while ago, I was playing cash flow with about 3 other couples friends of mine and my girlfriend. And so cash flow is like what Monopoly wants to be when it grows up. So Monopoly, you have like houses and hotels. Basically, that's about it. With cash flow, it's a board game. And with cash flow, you have houses, hotels, condos, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. You can start a business. You can buy gold. You have kid expenses. So if you land on the spot and you have a kid, depending on the different occupation that you're given at the beginning of the game, your child expenses are different. It's phenomenal. And one of the cool things about that is that you see the way people play that game is the way people play real life. So you can see their decisions and like how they think about stuff, or if they're like, let's do it, or if they're like, but we want to save up to pay our house off. Or, but we have these student loans and we want to pay those off. You can see people going through those different things in real time. It's really, really cool game. If you ever get a chance to play it or to buy it used off of like Amazon or eBay or whatnot. But if you can get a group of friends together to play that, it's phenomenal. and you have like assets and doodads in that game. So doodads would be like liabilities. So those are things that you just spend like impulse buys, like I don't know, like Jordans, or you got to get this new purse or a new flat screen TV. So we were talking about that during the game, and then melding that with actual real life. What are we doing in the market, and where our journey is in the market? And one of the things that I got from that group and from just like different people that I've mentored through the market, or that I start talking on set with some different actors about investing, is like, I'm too busy, right? That's one of the first things, or like we're too busy. Like I hear that all the time. And it's like my response to that is, we all get the same 24 hours in a day. And every person decides what amount of time that they're going to give to those 24 hours based on what they feel is most important. And that is 100% of the case every time. So we all do with our 24 hours that we're given each day. We spend that amount of hours on whatever, whether it be work, kids, family building, financial planning, everything. Like, everyone's got the same 24 hours. So it's like I don't have any kids, right? I'm not necessarily more busy than Alex that has kids, right? Or like, we're not busier than the president. Got a lot of stuff going on, right? There's a lot of moving parts and everything like that. So put in that mindset of, everybody gets 24 hours and you do with it what you want. So what you decide to make time for, you will never have time for anything. If you want time, you have to make it.
That's so good. That's so good, Brett E. Like, I think, man, you do a great job of not making excuses. And obviously, as the most positive actor, you know how to just remain very optimistic about how to turn things around, and that's pivotal, man, when it comes to investing, because there will be, riding the waves of some ups and downs and how to navigate it all. So I think that's incredible, man, because when it comes to relationships,
Life insurance for our kids,
For a mortgage.
for our retirement, but didn't want to deal with the long application process.
The expensive premiums. The medical exams.
That's why we got life insurance with Ethos Life.
Get a free life insurance quote today at ethoslife.com.
and you and I were talking about this like a little bit off camera, when it comes to relationships, have you ever noticed, Brett? And you was kind of giving me a little bit of this here as well, but like, when it comes to, say, someone who's married, right? One person knows what's going on with the finances and the other doesn't. Like, you were sharing with me as well, like, even you see that and you hear that, and so it's like, how do we attack that? How do we go about that? How do we build from there? And so I wanted to give like a couple of things that, of like, how do we navigate it? How do we get into it? How do we grow from it? Understand this, is that if you are a person, that is married, while one person may be stronger when it comes to the financial skill set of growing your finances, it's the responsibility of both parties to be aware of what's going on with the finances. So, one thing that you want to make sure you do is that as you are taking steps now to get into the market, you want to have places where information is set aside. Like, for example, what accounts do we have? What are the balances in these accounts? And helping your spouse to be like educated on how to make moves happen if something gets off. You want to make sure that you are communicating that. Like, it's a very close passion of both Brett E and myself, that you're knowledgeable. Even if it's a very basic understanding, we need to know how money moves and how it escalates, how it's growing. And so it's the responsibility of whichever one of you is more financially savvy, if you will, to make sure that your partner, at a minimum, has a basic understanding to be able to grow. So that's the responsibility of those in that marriage. Like this is again a mindset. If you're married, you're one, and so you should be building as one. And so I want to hold all of you who are married accountable to that and help us grow in that area. Brett, man, how do you feel about that, even as it pertains to single, in the sense of like not being married? Like, what would your advice be for those who are in that same position?
Yeah, just to build off of that point, I want to drive something home for everyone, that because I hear a lot of people when I'm talking to couples about investing. Overwhelmingly, I hear the wife say, "Oh well, my husband does all that, and I just let him do that, and whatever works out," right? And they just push it off as it's the husband's thing, and that's something that really like bothers me. I don't even know why it bothers me so much. Like when I've not been married, um, but I want to pose to you all this thought that is going to hit hard, and it should hit hard for a reason. If your spouse, one way or the other, if your spouse is the only one that handles the finances and knows the ins and out of the finances, what happens if said spouse walks out the door one day and gets hit by a bus? And that spouse is in the hospital, and now it's on you to take the reins for the family. Are you like, we have a plan, we have a folder, we know exactly what to do. I just pick up that folder and boom, boom, here's the accounts, here's the passwords. I can take it and I can keep it moving forward. Or are you flapping in the breeze like, oh my gosh, what happened? Because there's like three people in life. There's people that have things happen to them. There's people that make things happen. And there are people that something happened and they wonder what just happened. I don't know. I just get heated about like people saying like only one side can do the finance part of it. But I'll get off of that soapbox for a second. My blood pressure went up 2 points for a hot minute. I'm back in my woosahs. And but yeah, for singles, so I've been single most of my life. Just recently got coupled up for the boost season. But as a single person, one of the things that people can do is reach out to like a couple friends, reach out to 2 or 3 friends and ask them what's been their experience with investing in the market and where are they on their arc of learning about the market. Just start a conversation. That's one of the first things to do.
Starting the conversation, man. Big things happen just as conversation starters, man. I think that's excellent. And you know something, Brett, a big part of that, man, it'll show you and teach you a lot about who you have around you when you start initiating those kind of conversations. It will speak a lot, man, into like again, like who you're around, who really wants to grow. It'll really help, man. So I'm glad you said that. I think that's spot on and like right on time, man. Um, man, so I wanna get further into this. I want to get it further into this because something else that I hear people say often is, well, I kind of be open to this. I will be open to possibly investing, but I have a big issue. And the issue that I have is I don't have the money. Like I don't have the money to be able to do this. Like I'm living life and I don't have it in my account, how my account set up, my checking and my savings, like the whole like ordeal, Britt. Like it's a really, really big thing, man. I think people have a hard time identifying money to invest.
And people be like, the clubs keep calling.
The clubs keep calling.
They gotta pop these bottles. They're not gonna pop themselves, Alex. These bottles ain't gonna pop themselves.
Facts. Facts. Here's the thing though. All that, Brett E. I'm gonna bring it down and then bring it back up. All that is today. Cause the same way that my partner, Brett E, just said his blood pressure rose up, Mine is about to go up. I can feel it. 3, 2, 1. Come close. Listen, come close. You Sometimes we have an earning problem. Other times we may have a spending problem.
Mm.
Either way it is, we have solutions. Here's how we can begin to identify the funds to be able to invest. So we can relieve all excuses. This is only time for execution. Execution over excuses. Here's what I want you to begin to do. If you, listen here, if you say, "Hey, I don't have the money," I want you to do whatever it takes. It may be a side job for a period of time, a side hustle for a period of time. It may be selling some things in your house to further reduce your debt, so that it does create some margin in your budget. Whatever it takes, I want you to start there. If it's a earning problem, I want you to understand that earning problems can be solved when you understand that my future is depending, like seriously, my future is depending on my current yes. It's critical. And so when you can reduce expenses, when you can lower your debt and what's going to those scenarios, it helps again to create this margin. And so here's what you can do: literally list out all of your expenses every single month. List all of them out. List out all of your income and begin to make sure that all of your current income, like Bray East dropped in the last episode, as employees, that they are working for you. It's hard for them to come out of the break room and work for you when they're so occupied trying to buy the new latest item. So maybe it's this. Maybe you don't buy the newest iPhone, but you buy the stock that Apple is presenting. And so over time, that stock pays for your new phone. It's just a whole different like mindset and way of thinking. And so maybe yours is not an earning problem again. Maybe it's a spending thing. Understand this: all of your income is going somewhere.
Mm.
Every dollar, like Brett, every single dollar that's coming into our accounts is going somewhere. The question is, where do you want that money to go? Like, how do you want it to work for you? And so, again, if the issue is a spending thing, the mindset says yes to get to lower expenses to be able to invest. But the other part of it, which is huge, is this right here. Can I please give y'all this? Your hunger and your discipline of assigning every dollar a position to go out and work for you is critical. It's
Man,
critical.
somebody say teach, Brown.
It's critical. Brett, man, when I made the decision, right, to really get serious about my future and knowing I had a certain amount of time, it made me start rethinking how I handle finances, man. And 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 once you make that decision, it literally like it changes everything. Now given that, now you know something that our community is going to get introduced to today that will help them further get involved on their journey, man. Can you please drop the heat? Drop the heat on the community, man.
All right. So I want to introduce, we talked about it a little bit in the last episode, but just the idea of dollar cost averaging. So dollar cost averaging, it sounds really high level and
Mhm.
highbrow, but simply put, like you're going to work your way into the market with what you've got at any given month, let's say. Like if you're doing the action steps, and action is very important. Like, don't just take all the knowledge. You have to like start moving, right? It's like I'm not the most religious person in the world, right? But one of the phrases that I love is like, God won't move a parked car. Like, you can have the car, but you have to start driving it, and then you can have your steps
Mhm.
directed. But if you don't do anything with the info, that's
Mhm.
on you. But back to yeah, so dollar cost averaging, it's basically where, like, let's say we're looking at the ETFs, like we were saying. So let's say if an ETF is $250 per share of said ETF, you start working your way into positions, like by buying, let's say it's $25 at a time, or you save up till you have 50 or maybe like $100 in your account, and then you buy $100 towards that at a time. You're getting shares, like you're getting, you're getting fractions of that ETF as you build up to having a full share. So that's dollar cost averaging, where you're like, every month, I'm just going to make the decision and the habit of just investing every month with whatever it is that I have. And sometimes you can find more by not eating out every day, right? So sometimes you might have to eat beans and rice for a couple weeks. And then you can get back to it. And then, or maybe you do that for a week. You eat like beans, rice, and vegetables. And then you reward yourself at the weekend. And maybe you go out, instead of eating out like 3, 4, 5 days a week, or getting like, to go stuff delivered and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's how you can start finding ways to, what we call, to siphon the money out of your doodad life, which is your liabilities, siphon money out of that life into your assets life, to where money's making money for you while you sleep.
Life insurance for our kids.
For our mortgage.
For our retirement.
But didn't want to deal with the long application process.
The expensive premiums.
The medical exams.
That's why we got life insurance with Ethos Life.
Get a free life insurance quote today at ethoslife.com.
Another thing that I wanted to shout out to Alex and I, we have started a challenge within ourselves. You all are free to join this as well, but we started the 100 shares contest. So Alex and I Alex and I started this contest with each other because iron sharpens iron. We started this contest with each other to get 100 shares of Apple. So personally, that's just a stock that we both like. Everybody's got an iPhone almost, so that's one that we like. And so the winner has to give the one that is in second place, has to buy dinner for said person once whoever gets to 100 shares first. And I just want to say thanks, Alex, for taking me to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. I appreciate it. The meal is going to be glorious. But it's just a way to like keep each other motivated. It's just a cool idea that we started.
That's good. And listen, man, I have no problem. Listen, y'all, I have no problem saying this up front. I have no problem saying this. Right now, as of this recording, Brett E is ahead. I have no problem. Listen, I have no problem. Listen, I have no problem saying it. My man's in here. So as you are watching these episodes, we'll have to keep you all updated on how it's going down and how we are progressing. But as of this video, episode 2, my man's ahead.
But this is a marathon, everybody. This is a marathon. Like Alex and I, we like to eat elephants. And how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So 100 shares of Apple, that's an elephant. And so we just decided to start tackling it bit by bit and start working our way up. Just like if you're working your way up to like one full share of an ETF, you just start. Starting is the key, starting the marathon. And we're looking at like 3 years, 5 years, 10 years of holding these shares. So it's a marathon, not a sprint.
I think that's spot on. If I can just add this in really quick, man, when you said that, you made me think about this, Brett. It's like, you know how it is, like when you like first start thinking about working out, and like those first couple workouts, like you're like, oh, I don't know about this, and because your body isn't used to, it's not conditioned to move like that, right? And so what happens is you can walk past the mirror like 5,000 times that first 1 or 2 days, and you see no difference. Like,
right.
You see absolutely no difference. Like you say, I'm gonna work out 30 minutes for the next 4 days consistently. On day 4, more than likely, unless you know about a pill that we don't know about, something like that, but like you're not going to see any like major differences. And so the question is like, how do we begin to see like the difference being made. And we begin to see the difference being made like one step at a time. It may not be till week 3, week 4, week 6, week 8 until we see the difference being made. But when you understand that something is happening internally that's changing my external, Brett, it's no different, man. It's no different when it comes to investing. Like when you're dollar cost averaging and you're putting money away and no one else is seeing it each and every
Mhm.
time, you may not see much of a difference happening inside of your account. But what happens is, like you said, over time, it extends the health of your financial wealth. That's what we want to extend the wealth there. And when we do that, you end up with the big boys working out. It makes everything different, man. So you drop some heat, dollar cost averaging.
Yeah, it's like when everybody on January 1st floods into LA Fitness, and I'm like, what in the world's going on with it? I was like, oh, it's January 1st. And then by like February and March, you start seeing the people that are really serious, or people that you've already been seeing for like 10 months going forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, that's heat. Brett E. That's
So
heat.
like what? So Alex, what can like? So we like to have like action steps,
Yes.
right? Because we're talking about taking action.
Yeah.
In your opinion, talk to everyone about what are like a few action steps that they can take in this episode, and then like pulling from the action steps that people are taking from the last episode, what to do now.
Yeah, I think that's a phenomenal question. So I think like a few key things. Here it is. So the very first thing is, again, if you are married, you can go back and you can watch the first episode with your spouse. Like sit down with them, walk through it, and then maybe at dinner, or on a brief break before you go to bed, whatever it is, have a conversation with them about what you heard in the video. You'll be amazed about how it even increases the intimacy of your marriage when you decide to get further on the same page when it comes there. Secondly, is that for those who are single, make sure that you speak to those at least, again, minimum 2 friends. Speak to 2 friends about hey, what's going on with our finances? What happened in the first episode that we may have questions about? Again, you can rewatch it with those 2 friends or share it with them, and you all have that conversation around, man, this is how we can begin to change our livelihoods. Check this out. So that if and when we do choose to be married, we're in a better position to provide for our family. Listen, one of the worst things that you can do is spend up all your money, right? While you're dating somebody or multiple people, and then have nothing left to offer when you do get married. That's crazy. To spend all your money on people who you won't spend major time with later, and then whenever you do get married, you're like, hey, I don't have any money. No, we get to flip the script today so that when you do find that person, you're in position to maximize it. And the last part, Brett E, was the fact of how to identify those funds of how to invest. Remember, it's either an earning issue or a spending issue. Regardless, both excuses can be overcome by execution when the mindset comes into place, man. Last words, man, on you, Brett E. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts?
the relationship part, like that reminded me of one phrase or like an idea that really hits home for me. Like, so for all y'all single folks that are out there, right? Let's say for the ladies, right? For the ladies, when somebody starts trying to date you, right? Early on, ask them what one stock they are interested in investing over the next like 3 to 5 years. If that's their answer on the date, you need to get a new man, because that person has no outlook for their own future. So how are they going to combine with you to build a better future? Just saying. But back on the happy tip, on the way out, I just want to tell everyone sayonara, zaijian, adios, and we'll holla.
So good. Episode 2 in the book. Stay tuned. episode 3. If you missed any of this, if you were impacted by any of this, if you missed the last episode rather, make sure you go ahead, watch it, like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you get all the heat that's dropping when Brett E and I come through strong on your device. We'll see you next time. Brett E, signing out, man.